let's draw our character in Moho. I am running 13.5.2, which is quite different than the one that you're using, but I'm going to try to only use the tools that you have. So it might look a little different. Also, I'm on a Mac, so it might look a little different there as well. But in the core, at the core, it's the same sort of thing. I start my program and I have it set to not open a new file, so I always have to do a new file. All right. Again, Moho does not let me change my file structure or my file size and frame rate when I start. So I need to go back to project settings, file project settings, and set these things. Uncheck constrain proportions and set your frame to 1000 by 1000. Set your frame rate to 12. And you don't have to play with the end frame right now. Okay. Make those changes before you start drawing. You should see your timeline change, and this should be a square. If you're drawing on something that's not a square, make that change. All right, importing. File import, general, and then find your file. Another way you can do it is drag and drop. I have a PSD file, and I can drag and drop that here, and it's going to place it right on my screen. It's pretty big, and all I want is my villain. So I'm going to position that where I want it. Also, you can crop in this program. So this little crop tool up here, crop or C, grab those corners and just isolate what you want. And then get out of that tool by pressing another tool. Okay, that's all I need to really have on my screen is that stuff. Some techniques that we used. We made our sketch transparent. Double click, make it 35. Okay, this should be review. I have a vector layer here. It's called layer 1. That's not a good name, so I'm going to single click on that and call this body. We drew a machine before. It's the same idea. You have a body, and then you have extremities, arms, legs, and a head. You might have other things like a tail or wings, but it all starts with the body. Okay, let's draw the body. This to me is just a trapezoid. Yours may be a circle. Maybe it might have round corners, but pick the tool you want to use. I'm going to draw it with a square. Try to get it close. And then I'm going to modify. I like drawing that way, where I modify. I'm going to use my pen here because it's an easier tool to draw with. So I can kind of modify things. Okay. Next, let's make a new layer. If you learned anything, it's separate your layers. So let's call this maybe waste. Right here. That's another square for me. Try to get that lined up. All right, I'm going to draw the limbs in a simple way, and then I'm going to turn them off, and I'm going to focus my time on that face because that face is very, very detailed. So let's do the next one, which is going to be this shape here. You have a couple of choices. Is that the right arm or the left arm? To me, I'm the animator, and I call that the right arm, but that's the character's left arm. Whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it R for right, and then arm. I like to capitalize it like that. Just give it a good name so you don't lose track of it. I want these to be noodle arms because we're going to rig this in a different way. So you're going to have some techniques by the time you're done with your character versus how we did the machine. All right. Add point tool, click and drag from the shoulder to the elbow. Click and drag one more time to around where the hand is. And that's that. We need to add some color to it. So this is the only time you're really going to use that paint bucket tool is to add some color to it. Double check right here that this is clicked to both and click on the line, not the point, the line, and it's going to add some color to it. I'm not worried about the coloring yet. I'll go back and probably change that a little later. You can move these points around. If we can get this right, then we can duplicate it. So we want that to be there. Okay, that looks pretty good. I also know that I want my elbow to be curvy, so I'm going to go to my curvature tool. Right now, this is not a curvy elbow. I'll show you. If I was to move the elbow, it's got an angle to it. If I use my curvature tool and click on this curve button, it's going to set it to 0.3, which is a pretty good kind of default. There we go. That's fine. That'll work. Let's actually set the thickness now. Remember to change the thickness or the color. You have to use the select shape tool or Q on your keyboard. So you click the line, turns checkerboard, and let's dial this up to 30, maybe 40, 50. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to worry about color yet, just the shape. So the shape looks fine. Next layer is the hand. R, right hand. What tool would I use for this? I would use maybe another way to draw. Drag a square out. Take the, make that stroke like 5. All right, I need to add a thumb. Get the add point tool, A, and you can start dragging points from this line. This is one way people draw. Perfectly fine to draw that way. I want my kind of my wrist to go inside. I'm also going to add another point to this. I'm pressing keyboard shortcuts, guys, because that's easier. A for add point tool, T for transform point tool. I want those to overlap. The wrist and the arm should overlap. Also, the shoulder and the body should overlap. I found that if you add a little curvature to those two things, it's just helpful when they start moving around. C for curvature tool. Any shortcut you can get down is going to save you some time. Take some time to get that one right. And let's be done with the basic art of the arm and the hand. We'll color it later. And I'm only going to draw one. Okay, next is the leg and the foot. So this one's going to be right leg. I really like my arm, and I think that could actually be substituted for a leg. So a couple of ways to do it. You could find that arm layer, and with your selection tool, just select all the points. I drug all the way out here over that. It covered the whole thing, and you can copy it. Edit copy. I go to my leg layer, and then I pasted it. I'm just going to paste it right on top. Legs and arms are very similar. They have the same kind of structure to them. They have a joint that's going to be bending, and they have two endpoints. Save some time. Okay. Foot. New vector layer. Right foot. Before I go any further, I haven't saved my work yet. Make sure you save your work. This is gonna be tough guy. Nah, boss man. Save often. Moho tries to recover your files, but you never know when somebody's going to kick the power button. Right foot. This is just a block for me, just a box. They're overlapping, so that should work. Right here, I want you to think about, we're going to do a character, potentially a character walk, but we're going to make a couple of poses for this character. So if you wanted them to walk, The next leg would probably be pointed the same direction, and we would move the head and the center of the body to that direction. So you kind of have to think about it. You can also draw a character and modify it later and go, oh, I need him to walk, so I need to move some stuff. I don't think we'll do a walk cycle in class because they're complicated, but we'll do some posing. So kind of like a bodybuilder is going to pose. So we'll have him do some sort of poses and switch from pose to pose. So this foot should work for that. Okay. Here's how we save some time. We have an arm and a leg, hand and a foot we've already drawn. Here's what we do. Click the first layer and then select the other layers. So I'm going to select the left leg, or sorry, the right leg, the right foot, right hand, and the right arm. I have them all selected. If I hit this middle button, the duplicate button, it's going to duplicate all of those layers. They're all duplicated. They're not named very well. They have a 2 next to them. What I'll need to do next is flip them. This button here is transform layer button. So there's layers and then there's art in the layers. You'll see the layers are selected. And then I have the option of flipping them horizontally. What a time saver. I would then go in and rename these just because this is going to be left foot. Okay, I'm selecting it, clicking it again, put an L in front of that. I don't like the 2 being there. One more. Something else you can do for organizing in After Effects, we're able to color layers. So you could go through and say, all right, everything that has an R next to it, I can kind of tell that it's R. But you can also color layers with this button here. You can say, well, these are going to be red, right? And then all my left ones are going to be yellow. Yellow. I could also move them up and down the stack next to each other. So organize it if you want to. Don't if you don't want to. The final piece of art is going to be the head. We need the head and we need the eyes on a separate layer than the head because we're going to do a switch layer. And I'll show you how to create that here. Switch layers are going to be fun. Grab some coffee. Okay. The head can be drawn on one layer if you want to. The eyes need to be separate. You draw it on one layer. Maybe you can turn off all your other layers. I'm just clicking and dragging through all the other artwork so I can isolate this. This is going to be, for me, the add point tool. And I'm just going to outline my character's shape here. And the key to victory is to end where I began. I'm going to include the hair. That's one way to do it. I have auto weld right here that closes the shape. But it didn't fill it. So let's try to I'm going to try to do this again. So the best way to do this is to auto fill and auto stroke. Auto weld closes the shape, which is kind of helpful too. I like to hit enter so I know that's closed. These 2 buttons, auto fill and auto stroke, once it closes, it will fill it. Put some ears on this character. Now, if I draw here, it's going to make a modification to my face, which I don't want to. So I have to start out here, and I'm going to come inside of the head like this. Enter. That shape should be duplicated. Control C, Control V, and I can flip it. You can flip stuff. Pressing Shift should go straight over. My drawing's not very good. All right, hair, add point tool. I'm going to draw it from inside here. Click and drag. Just do your best. going to go outside of the shape. Remember, as you draw, things get put on top of each other. Enter. So that one will be fine. My ears are not drawn correctly. They'll be in front of my face, so I can either modify them, transform point tool. This works. This will work. All right, top hat. This could be, maybe I'll add some details to my hat. Okay, I have eyebrows. I think I'll put the eyebrows on the eye layer. I have a mouth. I can do a beard as well. So let's do beard and mouth on one on this head layer. So I'm just going to do the mouth here. I'm going to curve these points out a little bit. I like to draw and then use the curvature tool. It's not. Escape is a good button. It deselects shape. Curvature tool. Click and drag. So we have curves now. This beard can be just one shape that's on top. So I'm just going to do that. Enter. Get that point out here. So that'll be my beard shape. So I do have a little bit of rearranging to do. My mouth is behind my beard. My ears are, although I fixed them, I can rearrange those shapes. So let's do that right now. I want my beard to go behind my mouth. So with the select shapes tool, this is how you reorder things. I'm going to press the down arrow. It should be once because I drew my mouth previously, and now I can see both. So if you need a reorder, it's possible. Okay, the last detail, try this tool. This is the pencil tool. This will be my kind of my brow. Try to use that tool sparingly, but it's a quick way to get a line. Otherwise, if you draw with the line tool, it doesn't put a stroke on there. You have to use the paint bucket tool like that. I don't like that, but okay. So I have all my artwork for the head, and then I need a new layer for the eyes. New vector layer for the eyes. I'm going to call these eyes open. I see that this shape and this shape are the same. So if I can draw one, then I can copy and paste and reflect it. So let's try that. This is just maybe this shape that's modified. I'm going to delete a point. Grab this one. I have my select or transform point tool. You can grab the first tool as well. Hit delete and then modify. This is a curvature tool. Something like that. That'll work. Remember, we're just going for shapes right now. And then finally we have the eyebrow. Use my add point tool for that. You could use a pencil tool if you wanted to. And close. There we go. Okay, these shapes can be copied and pasted and flipped, so we have symmetry. Either one of these tools, let's do this tool. Click and drag around, copy, paste, flip. You got to move them. If I hold shift, it'll go straight over. I'm going to trust the computer to be accurate. I hold shift when I do that. All right. I have all my art drawn. I'm going to turn my layers back on. Usually you can click and drag through things. Hide my sketch. Okay. My art is drawn. And that's where this video ends. The next video is going to be coloring and styling this thing. So we're not running too awfully long on this one. So you've learned how to create your art, bring your artwork in, draw limbs, duplicate a lot of stuff, different drawing techniques, layering. So hopefully that is helpful. I'll see you on the next one.